Welcome one, welcome all to our daily DeFi High entry-level DeFi course with David from DeFi University. How's it going, brother?
I'm doing well, Mike. Blessed. Outstanding.
Awesome. Well, before we kick this off, before I turn it over to you to give the alpha, I'm going to just introduce real quick your free DeFi course. So again, this is free. We're not shilling anything like that. We just really our mission here is to try to give you all tools, free tools that you don't have to pay for. You don't have to jump through hoops, do anything crazy, but tools to learn DeFi, learn crypto, learn how to invest, responsibly, not, trying to chase narratives or, chase meme coins or anything like that. The slow, steady, responsible approach. So as part of that, David has taken the time. I can only guess how much time it took him to put all this together, but he has his DeFi University, and you can come to this website and click on Course Hub. If it will pull it up, there we go. And it has all of the course material, and it's very organized. You have quizzes, after each module. It's all of the information is here. Excuse me.
So Mike, what you're looking at right there, that's actually the account hub. Oh, bless you. So you're looking at the account hub there, so that's where you can track your progress through all of the courses. So if you click on that continue learning button, it's going to take you to, the actual course material.
Oh, excuse me, man. I need to dust around here or something. Hold on one sec. Go ahead and tell everybody a little bit about while I sneeze.
Oh, sure. So what Mike is showing on the screen here, this is actually the school community. And so the school community is totally free. Now there is, if you want to join the live calls and be able to ask questions of me and everyone else live, those are the paid calls. It's $100 a month, but everything else is free in the school community. And if you click on where it says classroom there, that's where I put all of the courses in school also. So if you want to go through the course material in school, you can do that. If you want to go through the course material on the website, you can do that too. But yeah, in the school community here, I've started to put together these DeFi protocol deep dives where, there are all sorts of different DeFi protocols out there now, and many of them have different stablecoin products that are yield bearing. So I thought it was a good idea to start to put together some deep dives on these DeFi protocols. But you can see here, you've got all of the courses. So you've got the beginner DeFi concepts course. That's actually some of the stuff that we're going to go through today. You've got the investor mindset course.
David, real quick, your account is kind of hard to find on Arena because it's a wallet address. What is the name of your account on Arena? People are asking where to find you.
Sure. Let me go ahead and hit view profile here on Arena, and it should just be David Zimmerman. But let me go ahead and edit my profile here. I don't know if I can edit my display name.
You can't. Oh, here I go. I found it.
So it says display name. I'm just going to change the display name to defiuniversity.xyz. Let me see if that takes. Nah, I didn't like it. So DeFi space.
Yeah, I'm actually talking to Colin and Matt Malik to talk to Jason, the founder of the site, to see if there's some way that they can allow us to change, our handle, because mine is like an old one, from an old X account. I want to update that, but all right.
Yeah, all good, man.
All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and jump right into this.
All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. And so this is what I want to talk about today. Yesterday, let me just make sure that I'm sharing the correct screen here. I think what I want to do is just share this. There we go. Awesome. So Mike, just let me know that you can see this. So can you see lesson 6? Yep.
I can. Awesome. Security fundamentals.
There we go, man. So this is the DeFi University Course Hub. Now, let me just go ahead and walk everyone through how you get here. It's really, really simple. If you're starting from the home page, all you do is click on Course Hub in the top right. If you haven't signed in, it's going to ask you to sign in. It's totally free. And then once you're signed in here, then this is the account hub. This is what tracks your progress. So if I just go ahead and click on beginner DeFi concepts and then continue learning, it's going to bring me to the beginner DeFi concepts course. This is within the course hub itself. And so what I want to roll through today, what I want to run through is lesson 5 and lesson 6, if we've got time. I think we will. And so this stuff is super important. Learning about wallets and self-custody, this is critically important, but also the security best practices,
Yes.
approving transactions, revoking approvals, connecting and disconnecting, using a hardware wallet.
Understanding what you're doing when you're connecting, and whenever you click approve and things like that, ensuring that you understand, the permissions that you're granting. And like you talked about, a lot of people think that once you disconnect the wallet, you're safe. You actually need to go into the settings in the wallet a lot of times and revoke those permissions like you were talking about.
Yes.
to fully disconnect.
Yeah, and so I actually do that. And as we go through this video content, after every session, if I, operate in DeFi after every session, not only do I disconnect from every dApp, but I also revoke all those approvals if I signed out.
How do you do that? Do you mind showing everybody real quick?
Yeah, sure. So here I just opened up Rabby here. If everyone can see my Rabby wallet, and then
you got to share that. We're still.
Oh, it's not. You can't see it. Okay.
No.
So let me just go ahead and stop the share or change the share so that we can go ahead and change this up. Let me share screen. I'm just going to share the entire thing, and I'm going to share audio. All right, there we go. So if I'm back over here in the course material, if I open up Rabby real quick, so in this wallet, if I wanted to, let's say I've got an approval, right? I would click on approvals from Rabby wallet.
Now, still can't see. Oh, here we go. There we go.
Yeah. So if you can't see the wallet, like that first part, that kind of sucks. But so over here, you see where it says approvals. So from approvals, if I've got, maybe an open approval for GMX, for GMX, I want to keep this approval open because if I hop into GMX, I have a trade open, and I like being able to use GMX one click without having to sign everything. So I keep this approval open. But if I maybe hop into a different wallet and I see like, okay, no approvals, awesome. Or maybe, if I hop into the payments wallet, no approvals. Or, my Polymarket wallet, no approvals, awesome. I always make sure to revoke all of the approvals after every session. So once I'm done trading for the day, I will revoke this GMX approval. And I will always hop in to Rabby and disconnect. Not only do I revoke everything, but I also disconnect. So, that's just like a security best practice. And so, Mike, what I want to do here is I want to run through this video content. And I want to take a look and see, as we go through this, let's talk through the video content. I think this will be really valuable for everyone.
All right, let's talk about a huge crypto security threat that honestly just flies right under the radar for most people. We're talking about the hidden permissions you grant from your wallet. It's a vulnerability that millions of us agree to without even realizing it. And today, we're going to show you exactly how to protect yourself.
So let me just ask you this straight up. Think about that new dApp, maybe a DEX or an NFT marketplace you tried out, 6 months ago. You did your thing, swapped a token, and then you just moved on. But what if I told you that one simple interaction might have left a permanent gaping backdoor right into your wallet?
And this isn't some rare thing. We're talking about a massive number of crypto users. Yeah, beginners and even seasoned pros who have these old active permissions just sitting in their wallets for apps they completely forgot about.
So why is that so dangerous? So Mike, I'm sure that, you've gone to Uniswap and you've swapped ETH for USDC. And when you do that, you have to sign an approval. And now Uniswap is pretty good about it, but many other dApps are not, where when you sign that approval, you're actually signing an unlimited USDC amount. So like the approval is for an unlimited amount of USDC. Well, if you don't revoke that approval, and then the DApp gets exploited, or maybe that contract gets exploited. Well,
It's an
guess
open
what?
door.
It really is.
Well, it
And
happened
yeah,
to Jeff, my co-host. He was his wallet was drained, and it was quite a bit of liquidity, and a bunch of NFTs. Like I think it was like one of those pudgy penguins, and he had a bunch of stuff that was in there, and he had to actually hire a bunch of white hat hackers to basically front run, for a bunch of airdrops that was coming in, unlocks of stuff that he had farmed. And so he had to jump through all kinds of hoops and was able to recover some of it. But it was quite the ordeal that he had to go through.
yeah, that's horrible, man. And here's the thing. If we don't know the security best practices, then we become vulnerable the more that you operate in DeFi. So just knowing this stuff is the first part. But the second part is you've actually got to implement it in your daily routine. For me, this is just automatic. Look, I do this for a living. So this is just, part of my habit. But for many people, they don't even know about it. So let's continue playing the video lesson. I think that, I know that there's quite a bit more in this.
And every single one of those is a potential tripwire, just waiting for a hacker to find a weakness in that old code.
Yeah, we're calling this the open backdoor. And honestly, understanding how you
Right.
accidentally create it.
Do not leave your back door open.
No, do not.
First step to locking it down for good.
So what's the actual mechanism here? Well, it all comes down to something called a token approval. See, every time you interact with a new DApp, you think you're just doing a swap, but you're also signing permissions. The real question is, what are you really signing away?
The easiest way to think about a token approval is to compare it to your credit card. When you're at a store, you give them permission to charge your card for a purchase. It's the same idea here. You're giving a smart contract permission to reach into your wallet and spend your tokens to do something for you.
Would you ever give an unlimited spending approval to a merchant and then leave it there forever?
No.
You would never do that, right?
No.
I think that it's just a matter of DeFi and crypto it feels quite a bit different than traditional finance, but there are these analogies that we can draw, and I think that the approval on a credit card is a pretty good analogy to the token approval on a contract. You would never leave an unlimited approval open on your credit card, right? Why would you ever do that for your DeFi wallet? You wouldn't.
No.
It's a totally necessary step, but it's also exactly where the danger starts.
And here's the crucial part you've got to understand. It almost always happens in two separate steps. First, you sign the approved transaction. That's you giving the thumbs up, giving permission. Then, and only then, do you sign the execute transaction, which is the actual swap or the trade itself.
And so this is, I think, part of the reason why people get kind of tripped up, especially when they're just getting started using a DeFi wallet like Rabby or MetaMask or Phantom or you name it. Because when you approve that first transaction, if you don't know that you have to actually go in and revoke that, then it'll probably just sit open for a long, long time until you figure it out that you got to go in and revoke it. So you've got this two-step process where you need to sign the approval, and then you need to actually execute the swap or execute the transaction. But if you don't know that this is actually a separate transaction that you need to go in and revoke, it's going to stay open in your wallet until you figure it out. So
Yeah.
That first step, the approval, that's the one we need to laser focus on. Now, you might be wondering, why do DApps even do this? Well, a lot of the time, it's for convenience. It saves you gas fees on future transactions. So instead of asking for just enough for one trade, a lot of DApps ask for permission, well, forever. And that, my friends, brings us to the real villain of our story, the infinite approval.
uh-oh.
So let's break this down. Specific. That's the safe way. It's like telling a store, hey, you can charge my card for exactly $50.
Okay, so this is really important. If you don't want to go in and revoke after every session, which honestly just takes a couple seconds, it's best practice, it's a good idea to do that. But let's say that you don't want to do that. What's the best way to mitigate this risk? Well, you don't have to sign an unlimited spending cap. You don't have to sign an approval for an unlimited number of tokens, you can sign that approval for just the number of tokens that you need to complete that transaction. So that would be like the best way to mitigate that risk. And that way, at least if something goes wrong and God forbid there's some type of exploit, you don't have an unlimited approval sitting open in your wallet.
And that's it, one time. But an infinite approval? Oh man, that's like handing them your credit card and saying, here you go, charge whatever you want, whenever you want, from now until the end of time. You can see how the risk there is just astronomically different.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. You don't want your wallet to just be open to the black hole of, hackers out there.
No.
And here's the real kicker. This is the devastating consequence. If that DApp you used once, 6 months ago, gets hacked, or worse, a developer goes rogue, the attacker can use those infinite approvals you granted to drain your wallet completely.
So, Mike, isn't that exactly what you were saying happened to Jeff? Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to Jeff.
Man.
And you don't even have to be using the site. That permission slip is just sitting there, active, waiting for someone to exploit it.
Okay, that's the scary part, I know. But here's the good news, and it's really good news. You are in complete control. Now that you know about the problem, you can actually fix it. So let's get into your security toolkit and talk about how to take that control back.
The single most powerful thing you can do is perform a regular approval audit.
So that's exactly what I just did. So if I just go ahead and minimize this for a second, and then we hop into Rabby real quick, this is an approval audit. If I'm in this wallet and I'm taking a look at my approvals, and I take a look by contracts, by assets, by signing type, hey, this is the audit. If I can see everything that I have open, then I instantly know, do I want these approvals to remain active or not? And you know what? Once I'm done trading for the day, if I hop into GMX, I'm like, okay, I want to close this position. I want to realize my gains here. Then once I do that, I'll revoke this approval. And that's my approval audit. It's a piece of cake. Really, really simple. Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, it's a small thing to do to protect your all of your liquidity, your account.
Exactly right. And it should become part of your DeFi, just your DeFi best practices. Like it's just a normal thing to do. For me, it's part of my habit. Like this is just something that I do when I'm done operating. I always audit the approvals and revoke them. Always.
It's a good muscle memory to get into. Just kind of,
really
at the end of your day or whatever, whenever you're done, doing DeFi, doing trading, whatever, just go in there, click, and just, make that a habit at the, end of each day.
Exactly. And think about it this way. Would you ever log into your traditional bank account and then walk away from your computer and leave it logged in?
or walk up to an ATM, put your card in, put the pin in, and then just walk away?
You would never do that. You would never do that. I think the reason why people do that in DeFi and crypto is they don't really understand it. And so that's why we're going through this, because you need to understand these basic security best practices just to make sure that you're protected as you operate in DeFi.
A routine checkup for your car, or going to the dentist for a cleaning. It's simple security hygiene. You just take a look at all the permissions you've handed out and you get rid of the old ones you don't need anymore.
And the best tool for the job, hands down, is revoke.cash.
So I don't actually agree with that. I think that if you're using Rabby Wallet, it's probably easier just to hop into Rabby and audit your approvals and revoke them from there. But revoke.cash is a great tool too. Now, one thing that I believe revoke.cash can do that Rabby can't is burning tokens. And so I'm not positive whether revoke.cash can actually burn tokens or not. But if you've ever noticed, Mike, sometimes you'll get airdropped scam tokens or airdropped all the time, man. And so if you ever get airdropped scam tokens or scam NFTs, never interact with them except to burn them. And when you go to burn them, you have got to be 100% positive that you are burning the right token or NFT. So here's why. Let's say that you're providing liquidity on Uniswap, and when you do that, you receive an NFT, almost like the receipt for your position. Well, when you go in and let's say you received a scam NFT, when you go in to burn that scam NFT, if you make a mistake and you burn the NFT for your Uniswap position, you have just lost your assets permanently, unrecoverable. So you need to double, triple, quadruple check that you're burning the right one.
Yeah. So it looks like Freak Atomic is asking, do you only use Rabby as a wallet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. It depends on the chain that I'm operating on. So if I'm on EVM chains, I use Rabby. If I'm on Solana, I'll use Backpack just because I operate with a Trezor. So Backpack allows me to use my Trezor on Solana. If I'm operating on Sui, I'll use, they renamed it. I think it's called Slush now. I think that's the Sui Foundation wallet. If I'm on BitTensor Tau, I'll probably just be using the native BitTensor Tau wallet. I don't know, running through chains. Those are basically the chains that I use most often. So
yeah, I hate MetaMask.
Yeah, I mean, MetaMask has really upgraded itself. Like they've done a lot of work to upgrade MetaMask over the last year and a half or so. But I think that I just prefer Rabby. It's very fast. It's easy to use. The only problem with Rabby is that it's really bad at calculating a P&L, like a daily P&L. So this is what I mean by that. So if I hop in to just my approvals here, just so that you can see the value of the wallet, this is totally wrong. So every day when I hop in here and I take a look at the percentage amount, it's never correct. So yeah, that's something that kind of is annoying, but what can I do? So
It's a free, super well-trusted tool that connects to your wallet and just shows you a clean list of every single approval you have ever granted. From there, you can spot the old ones, and with a single transaction, you just cut off their access. You set their allowance back to 0. The best practice? Seriously, just put a reminder in your calendar to do this once a month. It takes 2 minutes.
But look, revoking approvals is just one piece of the puzzle, right? It's a critical piece, but to really, truly stay safe out here, you need a broader strategy. So let's build out a full 5-point safety plan.
Number 1, verify everything. I mean everything. Double-check those contract addresses, bookmark your favorite sites so you don't get phished.
Okay, so on the verify everything point, this is really, really important. If you're starting to use a dApp that you've never used before, and maybe you don't even know that you've got the right URL, you should not be connecting any of your main wallets to that dApp. So don't be afraid to create a couple of burner wallets. Just hop in there to Rabby, hop in there to MetaMask, whatever your preferred wallet is, and create some burner wallets. And then you use those to explore new dApps. You never connect your main wallets to a new dApp ever. Okay, so
think of it as a firewall.
Yep, it's going to protect you, and you got to make sure to do that. Another thing is never click on crypto or DeFi URLs or links in Google unless you are 100% positive that it's the right URL. So there are so many phishing scams on Google and on X and on Discord where what the scammers will do is they will have the URL. Aerodrome is a great example. There have been a bunch of Aerodrome phishing attacks, phishing scams, where the attackers will change the URL. It's aerodrome.finance, right? So they might make the URL aerodrome.fi, okay? And someone who doesn't know that that's incorrect, they'll connect to aerodrome.fi. That's the scam site. It will look identical to Aerodrome's site. But the moment that you connect your wallet to that, if you connect your wallet to that, it's just going to drain your assets. So That's why
It's
number
gonna
one,
take your NFTs, all of
everything.
your liquidity positions, everything.
You know what would be kind of cool, Mike, is if you could put some type of like reverse scam token in your wallet,
Oh, I know,
and
right?
then go to scam sites intentionally and connect to
I
them to
Yeah,
scam the scammers, you know,
that would
because
be
once they drain all your stuff, it would just send all of their stuff to you. That would be kind of cool.
have a malicious smart contract in there or something like that as like
Something.
like a landmine, and as soon as
Just
they
screw
interact with it, it
guys,
drains their
man.
wallet.
Yeah,
That would
man.
be
I
cool.
mean, and it's such a shame that people do that because look, if you've got the skill set to build and do that, why don't you do something legitimate? I don't get it. So number one, though, never click on links to DeFi dApps or crypto sites from Google because you usually see a lot of phishing attacks on Google. So be cautious of that. I think that DeFi Llama is probably the only site to go to that I like really truly trust for links. But even there, you've
I
still got to
bookmark
verify.
I bookmark all of mine so
Yes.
that whenever I go to them, I'm using the bookmark and not clicking on a new link, because I mean it's what I've found to be the safest, where I don't have to worry as much.
100%. Yep.
Second, start small. When you're trying a new protocol, for the love of God, don't throw your life savings in.
That's such a good point. So, when you're working with a new protocol, number one, connect your burner wallet first. Number two, when you decide that you actually want to interact with the protocol and deposit assets and, start playing around with it, start small. So, what does that actually mean? Well, let's say that you've got a $1,000 account. If you're going to connect to that new dApp, that new protocol, you might want to start with maybe $10, something very, very small, just so that you can play around with it a little bit and, learn what it's like to deposit, learn what it's like to withdraw, learn what it's like to use other functions in the dApp. But you got to start small because God forbid something goes wrong. If you lose $10, well, you can recover from that. But if you got $1,000 account and you put your entire account into a new protocol because you felt some type of FOMO, or you thought that you were gonna,
Or there's like a high APR, it's a newer site, and a lot of times they'll incentivize people with high yields to try to draw liquidity, and you're rushing to get in there, and you connect, and your whole freaking portfolio's in there. They can drain it. And what David's talking about is just like doing a test transaction when you're doing sending or sending crypto or something like that. You should always send a small test transaction, because if you get the address wrong, it's a lot better to lose like $5 or $10 than it is to lose a couple of $1,000 or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
So,
And Mike, something else is, if you let's say that you deposited your entire account into a new dApp. Let's say that the dApp it's not a scam, it's legitimate. But if you don't know your way around the dApp and you deposit your entire capital into the dApp, and then you realize, oh shit, I don't know how to withdraw this, because sometimes it's not all that straightforward. That can be, not a pleasant experience. So always start small.
Test it with a tiny amount you're willing to lose first. Third, and this is a big one, use hardware wallets for any serious amount of fun.
Okay, so this is critically important. So I only use hardware wallets. I prefer Trezor. I also have a couple of ledgers, but I really do prefer Trezor because it's open source. Ledger is closed source for the software that matters. And think about this, okay? What if, and I'm not saying that this is likely, but just it's something to think about. Because Ledger is closed source and they do have a back door into Ledger that allows them to extract your private keys. Since they have that, if the DOJ goes to Ledger in France and says, hey, we've got a subpoena for this wallet, will Ledger comply or not?
Yep.
I don't know, but it's just something to think about. So
I'm a big fan of Arculus with the air gap.
So yeah, I've never used the Arculus, but I had a Keystone at one point. Yeah, one of the Keystone wallets. It's just an air-gapped wallet, but I've read that you can actually spoof
Your
those.
your your internet's getting choppy, David.
Oh man. Okay. How is
Or
it
maybe
now,
you'll
Mike? No, no. So
go ahead and keep going.
yeah. Is it still messed up? Because I'm on my Starlink right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, yeah, keep going.
Okay. So let me know if it because I've got a backup here. So if the Starlink continues to mess up, then I'll just switch to the backup.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. So let's continue playing.
This keeps your keys totally offline. It is the gold standard. Fourth, be super skeptical of free money. Scammers love using fake airdrops to trick you into signing malicious approvals. And finally,
Okay. So the fake tokens. The whole point, if you've ever seen those scam tokens or scam NFTs in your wallet, the reason why scammers do that is because the moment that you interact with those, let's say to swap out of them for something else, that will drain your wallet many times. So you got to be very, very cautious of that and only burn them.
number 5, keep your wallet software updated. You want those latest security patches working for you. You know, when it comes right down to it, it all boils down to this one golden rule. This phrase, this simple idea, will protect you from more scams and hacks than any fancy strategy out there. A healthy dose of skepticism is your absolute best friend in this space. So here's your mission, should you choose to accept it. Take these tools, take this mindset, and actually apply them. This isn't just some interesting theory. This is about you taking real, concrete steps to secure your financial future on-chain. So let's just do a quick recap. The key takeaways. 1, approvals are just permissions for dApps to spend your money. 2, those old, unused, infinite approvals are a huge hidden risk. 3, your main action item is to audit and revoke those approvals monthly with a tool like revoke.cash. And 4, all of this needs to be part of a bigger security plan that you actually practice. And that just leaves us with one final question for you. Now that you know all this, you know the risks, you know the tools, take a second and really think. What's in your personal security plan? What's the very first step you're going to take, maybe even today, to go and lock down those open backdoors? Thanks for tuning in.
Man, Mike, what'd you think of that? That was pretty darn good.
Well, it seems, well, one, for people that are crypto savvy, it seems like just basic information, but it's basic information that a lot of people forget about. Just they get bad habits. It happens with a lot of different things. Like with shooting or with other skill sets, is you get complacent. So you're doing it at first. You're closing out these where you've authorized these apps, these dApps to interact with your wallet, and you're like, I haven't had any issues. I'm not that worried about it. And then you get into a bad habit of not closing that out, and all it takes is once. All it takes is once, and everything that you've worked for is gone. So an ounce of prevention is critical. Just that little thing at the end of each trading day, or the end of your day, when you're going to log out, go have dinner, spend time with the family, do whatever it is that you're going to do, go to bed. Just do that one little thing. Go in there, revoke those permissions, save yourself a ton of potential headache.
Hey, Mike, can you add? So I'm just sharing my screen again. Can you add that to the call so everyone can see it there? But yeah, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So just start with the best practices. Now, the next little piece of video content, Mike, that I wanted to run through with everyone is wallets. It's about wallets and self-custody. So for those of us who are familiar with this stuff, great. But even those of us who are really familiar with this, hey, there's still new stuff to learn. So let's see if we can play through this. I think for the people who are just getting started, this will be really valuable. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play.
Can't hear it.
Oh, you can't? Gotcha.
No.
Let me go ahead and stop the share there. And all I'm going to do is make sure this time that I hit the share sound button. Okay, share system sound. Got it. Great. There we go. Let's rock and roll.
But it's also a massive responsibility. All right, let's dive into one of the biggest, most important ideas in all of crypto, self-custody. It's kind of like a superpower, but it's also a massive responsibility. Today, we're going to break down exactly what it means to be your own bank and how you can take total control of your digital money.
You've probably heard this phrase a million times, right? In crypto, you are your own bank. And yeah, it sounds amazing, but what does that actually mean in practice? Stepping away from the system we've used our entire lives? Well, it's a much bigger deal than you might think. So let's cut to the chase. When you're the one in charge, when you're the one holding the keys to the vault, what does that really mean for your money?
And this gets to the very heart of it. On one hand, you have this incredible opportunity for complete financial freedom. But on the other hand, the responsibility is 100% on you.
So this is the critical point. When you self-custody your own assets, when you own your private keys, the responsibility, the onus is on you. You have to make sure that you follow security best practices. You have to make sure that you don't sign a malicious transaction. You have to make sure that you don't connect to a malicious DApp. So it's all on you. But that's the whole point. You know, you want sovereignty. And if you don't own your keys, you don't own anything. So if you think that you've got assets on Coinbase, guess what? You don't. Because Coinbase or any centralized exchange, they can at any time freeze your account. And good luck getting anything back if they do that. So if you don't own your keys, you don't actually own those assets. The same thing is true with a traditional bank account. When you deposit dollars at Bank of America, you don't actually own that. You have an IOU. And
well, go and try to withdraw more than I think like $5,000 or $10,000 and watch what happens.
Oh my goodness. So the last time I had a problem with that, I was sending an $8,000 wire transfer. Okay. And I was using B of A to do that. And they canceled the wire. And I thought, what the hell? Why'd they cancel the wire? And then all of a sudden I get a phone call from the fraud department at B of A. And I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck? You know, and so I'm speaking to this lady and she starts asking me, why are you sending this money? Who are you sending it to? Why? What's the purpose? And I was like, excuse me, but
none of your business.
None of your business. And I refused to answer any of her questions. And then they sent the wire. So it's like, man, you know, you don't have to answer those people. It is none of their business.
No.
There's no 1-800 number to call if you mess up.
Can you imagine a 1-800 number for Rabby?
Oh, dude.
No way.
No, forgot my password link. It is all on you.
Right.
This is exactly why we have to get the fundamentals right, because the stakes couldn't be higher. With a normal bank, you can reset a password, no big deal. But in self-custody, one little mistake and your funds can be gone. And I don't just mean lost, I mean vaporized, irretrievable, forever.
Okay, so how do we manage that kind of risk? Well, it all starts with understanding the technology that makes this whole thing possible. So let's break down the absolute foundation of your control, your digital keys.
The easiest way to think about this is with a mailbox analogy. Your public key, your wallet address, that's like your home mailing address. You can give it out to anyone so they can send you crypto. It's totally safe to share. But your private key, that is the physical key that opens the mailbox. It's the only thing that proves you own what's inside.
Okay, and so something really important to know about this is your seed phrase. Your seed phrase is the human readable version of your private key. So that seed phrase, that 12 or 24 word phrase that you write down when you create a new account, you create a new wallet, that phrase, you should never have that phrase stored digitally. When you write down that phrase, I think the best thing to do is to stamp it into a piece of metal. And it might even be a good idea to have a backup, or maybe even a backup of the backup. And think about this also. When you pass away, you want to make sure that your family can retrieve your assets. Because what are you doing this for if not to be able to provide for your family? So when you die, if they can't get your seed phrase, your private key, then they can't
It's lost
access.
forever.
It's lost forever. So you got to think about that.
You would never ever share that key, right?
And this brings us to the single most important, unbreakable, golden rule of crypto. If you remember one thing from all of this, let it be this. Whoever has your private key controls your funds. Period. It's that simple. There are no exceptions.
And if you don't own the keys, you don't own the coins.
Mm-hmm.
So now that we get what a private key is, let's talk about the thing you're actually going to protect. It's basically a human-friendly version of your private key, and it's your master key to everything, the seed phrase.
So what is it? A seed phrase is just a list of 12 or 24 simple English words. But don't let that fool you. Those simple words hold all the power. Think of your phone or your computer as just a tool, a way to access your funds. The seed phrase itself is your wallet. It's the ultimate key.
Right.
Let's run through a quick scenario. Imagine the worst-case scenario. Your laptop gets fried, your phone falls into a lake, your hardware wallet gets run over by a car. Just a total disaster.
Hey, they're having a bad day.
No kidding. So let's say your laptop gets stolen, and your cell phone, your
It's
cell
in the
phone
same bag as your laptop,
is in
and
the same bag as your laptop.
hardware wallet's in there too.
Yeah, let's say that all three of these devices are in a backpack, and that backpack gets stolen. Well, you would still be okay as long as you have your seed phrase stamped into a piece of metal or written down somewhere safe.
Not in the backpack.
Not in the backpack. So if you put your seed phrase in the backpack with all the other stuff, that's not really a layer of security at all. But if you store your seed phrase somewhere safe, then it doesn't matter if these devices get lost or compromised, because the only way to sign transactions, if you've got your assets on a hardware wallet, is if you know the PIN to the hardware wallet. So, or if you can verify, with a thumbprint or something on the hardware wallet. So if you can't verify ownership of the hardware wallet, then you can't sign transactions. So that means if someone steals your hardware wallet, they can't actually move your assets. So you could just recover them by using your seed phrase. So make sure not to store your seed phrase somewhere that anyone could just grab it. Not a good idea.
Total disaster. But you were smart about it. You wrote down that seed phrase on a piece of paper and you stored it somewhere safe and offline.
Guess what? You're totally fine.
Right.
This is the magic of it. Your funds are 100% safe. Because you have those words, you can just go buy a new device, punch them in, and bam. All of your assets are right there waiting for you. The money was never on the device. It's on the blockchain. The seed phrase is just the key.
Right.
Okay, now let's flip that. Your device is perfectly fine, works like a charm, but someone finds that piece of paper with your seed phrase on it, or maybe you just lose it.
In that case, it's game over. Your funds are gone, forever. The device doesn't matter one bit. The person who has the phrase has the crypto.
Right. That's the important thing to understand. Your assets really kind of are your seed phrase.
So with DeFi Don, all you got to do is you got to kidnap DeFi Don, and you got his seed phrase.
Well, I mean, even then you wouldn't,
Well, he said he got it tattooed. So if it's tattooed on him, all you got to do is kidnap DeFi Don, and you got his portfolio.
I mean, the best thing to do, I think, is to just memorize the seed phrase, because it's only 12 words. So as long as you memorize those 12 words in order, then your seed phrase your assets can never be stolen from you. But don't forget the thing, right?
It is that serious.
Okay, so we've got the theory down. We understand keys, we understand seed phrases. Now let's talk about the practical tools you'll actually use to manage all this stuff. Crypto wallets. You've basically got two main flavors here. First, there are hot wallets. These are things like mobile apps or browser extensions. They're always connected to the internet, which makes them super convenient. But that online connection also makes them a bit more vulnerable.
So not only are they vulnerable because of the fact that they're always online, but here's another reason why they're so vulnerable. when you create a new hot wallet, be it on your laptop, your desktop, or on your mobile device, the seed phrase is going to be displayed on the screen of that device. If there's a piece of malware on that device that you're unaware of, let's say maybe it's recording your screen, well, guess what? You create that hot wallet, all of a sudden that hacker has the keys to your hot wallet.
So anything you put in that hot wallet, they have full access to.
Yeah, so you got to be careful, man.
Then you have cold wallets. These are physical devices, kind of like a fancy USB stick, that keep your keys completely offline or air-gapped.
Now, the beauty of the cold wallets is that they are much, much more secure. And when you create a new account on that cold wallet, it's going to display the seed phrase on that device, on that hardware device, not on your desktop or mobile phone. So that's a much, much higher level of security right off the bat. But there is value in using hot wallets. You know, like if you want to have maybe a small amount of money in a hot wallet so that you can immediately transfer that, let's say, to EtherFi, or, you know, deposit that on Aave so that you can spend it using Swipe, or maybe you want to just be able to send stables on the go. Well, a hot wallet would be great for that, because the cold wallet it's kind of cumbersome sometimes, especially when you're on the go. If you're trying to use a Trezor or a Ledger from your mobile device, that can be really frustrating sometimes. So it's valuable to use a hot wallet because it's just so easy to use. But for any serious amount of money, you've got to be using a cold wallet because it's just much, much, much more secure.
Gotcha.
This is by far the highest level of security you can get. So here's the best way to think about it. A simple rule of thumb. Treat your hot wallet like the cash in your physical wallet.
Yeah.
Just small amounts for daily stuff. You're walking around money. Your cold wallet, that's your savings vault.
Right.
That's where you put anything you absolutely, positively cannot afford to lose. All right, so we've got the knowledge. Now let's turn it into a concrete, actionable plan. This is your security playbook. Getting set up is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, download a trusted hot wallet like MetaMask for your daily spending money. Step 2, buy a reputable cold wallet from a company like Ledger or Trezor for your savings. Step 3, and this part is non-negotiable, write your seed phrase down on something physical, paper, or even better, stamp it into metal, but never store it digitally. No screenshots, no text files.
So never, ever store your seed phrase digitally, ever. Okay, never do that.
And finally, step 4, store that backup in multiple secure offline locations. Okay, and now for some critical warnings. Please listen closely. Scammers will build fake websites that look exactly like the real thing just to trick you into typing in your seed phrase. Never, ever, ever do it. And I'll say it again, never take a screenshot of it. And just remember, no legitimate company, no support team, no one will ever ask you for your seed phrase. If they do, it's a scam.
Okay, so this is really important. If you're ever on Discord or really anywhere, Telegram, Discord, it doesn't matter. If anyone ever asks you for your seed phrase, that person is a scammer, period, full stop.
Well, here's in the arena chat, MI shared this. So Microsoft Copilot records everything. It has a time machine feature. It captures screenshots, so Windows users are at an auto risk. It says also, if you use certain Google features that incorporate AI, so make sure you turn the settings off, especially Gmail.
Wow, I didn't know that. So that basically means that Microsoft is kind of like the piece of malware on your computer.
Yeah.
Or Google, you know. So when you create a hot wallet and the seed phrase is displayed on your screen, if your screen is being recorded 24/7, then hey, guess what? Your wallet is compromised from the moment you create it. So that's why a hot wallet is either going to be a burner wallet that you use just to connect to dApps and explore them, or it's going to be for your walking around money. You know, small amounts of money where if that wallet was compromised and you lost everything, you wouldn't, you know, be killed in the crib, so to speak.
Gator needs some walking around money.
Yeah. Oh man, that was a great movie. What was the name of that movie again?
The other guys with
Yeah.
Will Ferrell and Mark
Yes.
Wahlberg. He's like,
Oh,
Gator needs walking around money.
isn't that where he's a pimp, right? That was
It's
great.
yeah, he's a cop, but he was a pimp back in college.
Right. That was hilarious.
Every single time. So let's lock all this in. Here are the key takeaways. First, your keys, your crypto. If someone else controls the keys, it's not your crypto. Simple as that.
Right.
Second, the seed phrase is the wallet. Protect it above everything else. Third, hot for daily, cold for savings. Use the right tool for the job. And finally, back up that phrase securely, offline, and in more than one place.
So, with this knowledge, you now hold the keys to your own bank, your own financial world. It's an incredible amount of power, but it's also a profound responsibility. So the final question really is, are you ready to be the vault?
Hell yeah, I'm ready to be the vault. What about you, Mike?
I'm definitely definitely got reminded of some stuff going through this because again you can be in crypto for years and just on a daily basis. Like, I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't been going in and checking in my hot wallets and revoking. I There's not a whole lot of websites that I use for DeFi, but still, again, it's just you need to get in that muscle memory because all it takes is going to check out a new protocol. I mean, especially with doing the channel and some of the stuff that we do, we're always going and checking out new protocols and things like that. And that's why I got in the habit of using like you were talking about, kind of burner wallets that have little to nothing in them, so that I can connect to those protocols and still go through the functionality and show people on the streams, but at the same time I'm not exposing my entire portfolio to this platform that I don't know if it's malicious. I don't know what security that they have in place. I don't know if they've been audited. You just don't know.
Exactly. Exactly. It's always best to be cautious. You don't necessarily have to be suspicious of everything, but just, be conservative, be cautious, start small, use a burner wallet to connect to dApps that you're not familiar with at first. And then once you're comfortable and you've done the work, then you can use your hardware wallet to connect. Let's see, Mike, what do you think about this phase one, this knowledge check for the video lesson that we just went through? How about question one? What is the difference between a public key and a private key? What would you say the difference is?
Well, I mean, I would say that the public key is the key that you're giving people to send you crypto or send you value, and that's the one that's visible to the
Right.
public, and then the private key is the one that's actually doing the authorizing. That's the one that's actually the controlling factor. So one is a read only. The public one is a read only, whereas the private one is the one that actually controls.
Right. The private key allows you to sign. Now, the seed phrase is the human readable version of that private key. So, what is a seed phrase and why is it critical, would you say?
Oh, I mean, obviously, the seed phrase is it's your ownership. It's to prove that you own that wallet and that crypto that's in that wallet. And that's why if you lose that and somebody else gets a hold of it, they now own it. So, kind of like, back in the day, it's, if you had a deed to a property and somebody was able to steal that deed, potentially they now own that property.
Right.
So, it's basically the same thing, or if somebody steals the key to your car, they might not own it, but they can open it, they can drive it, they can, do all the things. They can take it to a chop shop and, hack it up. And, same thing they do with crypto, drain your wallet, move that crypto around, maybe buy some Zcash so that you can't see,
Right.
after they buy it, they can sell it. And, or, if they have that tornado cash, I know they shut that down, but there's all kinds of malicious things they can do with it. And you'll just never see that, liquidity ever again.
Got to be careful. So let's take a look here at question 3. Mike, what would you say is the biggest difference between hot and cold wallets?
I would say the biggest difference would be One is more secure, and the other is more accessible or more usable. So the hot wallet allows you to interact very quickly, very easily, to spend or to use DeFi and trading and things like that. Whereas the cold wallet is air gapped. It's it can be it's a physical device that you can have in a safe, or that you can basically have separate of the internet, to where unless you're actually have that plugged in and logged into it, there's really no way for anybody to get into it without the seed phrase.
Right. Yeah. So for me, the hot wallet is something that you use that's convenient. It's for your walking around money. But the cold wallet, that's really your vault, right? That's where you keep like significant amounts of money, or that's where you keep stuff that you really want to keep secure. So when should you use a hardware wallet, would you say?
As far as the hardware wallet, I mean, that's, again, like you said, I mean, that's your vault. That's your storage long term. So if you like your Bitcoin, if you're not going to be using it for DeFi or anything like that, that's your long term savings. That's what you're building up as your nest egg. That's what I would use a cold storage wallet for. Anything that you're not actively, any liquidity you're not actively using in DeFi or trading.
I actually use a hardware wallet. I use a hardware wallet almost daily. And the reason I do that is I keep my assets on my hardware wallets. And then that way, when I want to go and sign a transaction, I have to actually physically sign on the hardware wallet itself. So I connect the hardware to Ravi, and then I can connect Ravi to a DApp. And then the signing transaction, that signing request, goes through the DApp to Ravi to the hardware wallet, where I have to physically sign it. After I sign it, then the transaction is approved. And so that layer of security, that is critical when you start operating in DeFi with large sums of money. So really important to get that set up when you're just getting started, I think, even.
Yeah.
Now, what happens if you lose your seed phrase, but you don't lose your devices? Let's say that, it was on a piece of paper, and that piece of paper, got water damage, so it's not readable anymore, but you still have your devices. What happens in that case, would you say?
Well, I mean, technically, as long as you still had the device and knew the pin and everything, you'd still have access to those funds, and you could look at the seed phrase and rewrite it down. But if you lost the seed phrase, like say it was in a backpack on a stamped piece of metal or on a piece of paper or in a notebook, and somebody finds that and knows what they're looking at, then potentially you could lose all your assets, because they could they could get another device, input that seed phrase, and have full access to all of your funds.
Exactly. Yeah. So the seed phrase kind of sort of is your bank account. If you lose the seed phrase, then you can't recover those assets. But if you lose the seed phrase and you've still got the devices, and you can actually log in and sign with those devices, then you still have access to your assets. You just don't have a backup of them anymore. So it's probably a good idea, if you ever lose a seed phrase to an account and you still have access to that account, to just open up a new wallet, send and write down that seed phrase, and send those assets to that new wallet, so that you've got that backup again. Super important. So I think, Mike, we've run out of time, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, good meeting starts and ends on time, right?
It does. It does.
Oh, I wanted to touch on that wallet hack. So I was farming airdrop, and I've been in the space for like half a decade, and I was farming a testnet project, and my wallet was still connected to their DApp. And I look at my wallet one day, and all of my shit was drained. I had a little pudgy, like 8,000 in assets, and I went to their Discord because there was nothing on their Twitter. And they said that their front end was hacked, and my wallet was still connected, and they had access to everything. And some other people were in the Discord, like saying, what the fuck's going on? My wallet was drained, and the team just like disappeared after that. And so I was on Arkham trying to track down this wallet, and it was sending funds all over the place, trying to find out if they sent it to Binance or Bybit, wherever, to see if I could find where this person was taking the liquidity out, if I could catch them. But yeah, it was a nightmare because I didn't realize the whole like disconnecting the wallets. So now I do revoke cash sometimes, but the Rabby wallet is great for revoking contracts and stuff, and also disconnecting from dApps. At the end of my sessions, I disconnect from everything, and also using transaction simulators like Pocket Universe or Scam Sniffer before you make any transactions, it pops up with like 2 different things before I even hit confirm. It says, hey, does this transaction look safe? Is it, what the transaction should be? So I go through 2 different things before I even hit finalize. So just these like redundancy things that can help
layers of security.
Yeah.
Well, and this is what David was talking about, yesterday was, Jeff's experience here, the little pudgy and $8,000 of liquidity, that was his, kind of cost of his education. It's something that he didn't know about. And because of, that mistake, then he was like, you know what, I'm going to learn about this, and went in and found that, the sniffer and, all these different tools to add layers of security. I guarantee, and I know, and I've known Jeff for a while now, I can guarantee that he's not going to make those same mistakes again.
No, and I moved my assets off to a different wallet that I keep only for, certain things. And like the white hat hackers, there's a team called Flashbots that will help you if your airdrop's worth a certain amount. Like Layer 0, they helped me save my Layer 0 airdrop, the Linea, a couple others, and they'll help front run transactions to kind of steal it from the potential scammers. So yeah, so
steal it back.
And they'll take like 5 or 10%, which is totally worth it. So
well worth it.
But it's these things.
90% of something is better than 100% of nothing.
How do you find white hat hackers like that?
I was digging on Twitter and I found some Discord called Flashbots, and I can share the link and stuff, but I've used them 3 times so far, and you have to fill out a form, and it has to be over $1,000 worth of assets, or 800, and they go through and verify, and you have to do like a video call with the person, and they assign somebody, but it's a whole process. At first I was like, fuck, I don't know about this, but
yeah. Is this a scam? Am I walking into another scam?
But it's I can say I've used them, 3 times so far, and they've been able to help me. So they actually, for the Linea airdrop, it was a shit show, man, because there were I guess they worked with the Linea team to help freeze wallets at the sequencer level. So it was like a whole organized thing to help save like millions of dollars of assets. And that made me wonder, like, how much control do they have at that, the blockchain level?
That's a really good point, Jeff. That is a really good point, man, because we think that, hey, if you own your seed phrase, then you have custody of your assets and no one can take them from you. No one can freeze them. Well, maybe that's not entirely true, Yeah. So I think it depends on the chain that you're operating on and the asset that you're holding in the wallet. But again, I probably don't know as much as you do, Jeff, about how they're able to use sequencers to, I guess, freeze wallets, or maybe freeze specific tokens.
I learned about that, and I was just really made me kind of step back and, oh shit, there might be a lot more weird stuff that we might need to ask. And the base, if base does an airdrop, I'll probably end up having to use them again. So I wonder if they'll try and do the same thing, because it was because I noticed before the Linea airdrop announcement, or had TGE, the scammer was in my wallet doing a bunch of transactions to try and simulate or set up an automated bot to send microtransactions to make sure his script was running for the airdrop. So I noticed there were a bunch of failed transactions when the airdrop actually happened, and he couldn't do shit. So
were you able to dox the location of that scammer?
no, I was actually asking am I in on the arena, because he does like research and analytics and stuff, and he knows some people that can track down stuff like that. So I need to DM whoever my is and see if there's a possibility to like track that down. Because yeah, I tried looking on Arkham, and it was just all kinds of sending to different wallets and hot and cold, or cold, not cold wallets, but yeah, like Bybit, and I even reached out to Binance to try and see if they could find out who this person was, but it's just really convoluted.
I mean,
So,
a lot of the times, man, these hackers don't exactly have the best OPSEC. So like you probably can dox their locations if you're good enough at doing that, I guess.
yeah. Yeah.
But you guys, I got to run, man.
Yeah,
this
I
has
gotta
been
run.
a lot of fun.
So real quick, I just want to remind everybody, if later this afternoon, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, David and I and Jake will be doing an advanced DeFi. It's our weekly advanced DeFi course. So if you want to tune in for that, and then also, again, link in the description on YouTube and on in our profile on Arena, you can find David's DeFi University course. So till tomorrow.
Awesome. Thanks, you
Mission
guys.
Crypto
Peace.
You guys.